Jurassic World, Apex. By Aidan Richardson. The abandoned Isla Nublar lay shrouded in a mist of mystery and danger, the once bustling theme park now a ghostly relic of the past. Overgrown pathways and collapsed infrastructure told tales of nature reclaiming its territory. The island, with its hypnotic beauty and lurking terror, beckoned to those daring enough to explore its secrets. In the heart of the island, a lone figure moved with cautious determination through the dense foliage. His name was unknown, his purpose a mystery. Clad in rugged clothing and carrying a tattered backpack, he navigated the jungle with the grace of someone accustomed to the wild. His eyes, sharp and alert, scanned the surroundings, searching for something of great value. The man soon found himself at the entrance of the old convention center, its once grand facade now crumbling and overrun by vines. He pushed open the rusted doors, the creak echoing through the empty halls. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of decay and the whispers of forgotten memories. He moved with purpose, his footsteps silent against the cracked tiles. It wasn't long before he stumbled upon what he had been seeking, a nest of dinosaur eggs, nestled in a corner of the dilapidated building. The eggs, large and mottled, lay in a bed of leaves and debris. His eyes gleamed with greed as he reached out, his hand trembling with anticipation. But as his fingers brushed against the cool surface of the egg, a low growl reverberated through the air. He froze, a chill running down his spine. Slowly, he turned, his eyes widening in terror as he came face to face with the mother dinosaur. Her eyes, fierce and protective, locked onto his, and in that moment, he knew he had made a grave mistake. The dinosaur lunged with a speed and ferocity that left him no chance to react. Her jaws closed around him, the world spinning into chaos as he was lifted off the ground. His screams echoed through the halls, swallowed by the roar of the beast. The struggle was brief, his fate sealed by his own greed. As the dinosaur settled back into her nest, the island fell silent once more, the echoes of the man's demise fading into the background. Isla Nublar, with its untamed wilderness and apex predators, remained a place of beauty and terror, a testament to the power of nature and the folly of man. In the bustling city of Los Angeles, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the skyline. Dr. Rebecca Lynn sat in a cozy corner of a quaint cafe, her fingers wrapped around a steaming cup of tea. Her mind, however, was far from the urban landscape, lost in thoughts of ancient flora and the mysteries they held. Seated across from her was Jackson Hardwell, his rugged demeanor a stark contrast to the city's polished exterior. Jackson leaned forward, his voice low and filled with urgency. "Rebecca, you have to hear me out. Isla Nublar, it's not just a forgotten island. There are rumors, whispers of dinosaurs still roaming free." Rebecca's eyes widened, a mix of disbelief and excitement dancing within them. "Dinosaurs? Alive? Jackson, that's incredible. But why come to me with this?" Jackson nodded, acknowledging her skepticism. "I know it sounds far-fetched, but think about it. If there's even a chance that these creatures have survived, we need to investigate. We need someone with your expertise in paleobotany. The ecosystem there could be unlike anything we've ever seen." Rebecca considered his words, the scientist in her intrigued by the possibilities. "So, what are you suggesting?" "A special task force," Jackson replied, his voice resolute. "We gather a team, experts in various fields, to explore the island. We need to confirm these rumors and study what we find." As Rebecca pondered the proposal, her thoughts drifted to Alex Marsh, an adventurer and archaeologist known for his ethical pursuits and deep respect for nature. She had heard of his work, particularly his research on Isla Sorna, the parent island. If anyone could help navigate the dangers of Isla Nublar, it would be him. Meanwhile, across the city, Alex Marsh stood in the grand halls of a museum, surrounded by artifacts and relics from a bygone era. His focus was on a detailed map of Isla Sorna, his mind piecing together the puzzle of its prehistoric inhabitants. The map held secrets, clues that could unlock the mysteries of the island's past. As he traced the contours of the island with his finger, his phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a message from Rebecca, an invitation to join a venture that promised both danger and discovery. Intrigued, Alex knew this was an opportunity he couldn't ignore. The allure of Isla Nublar, with its untamed wilderness and potential for groundbreaking research, called to him. The stage was set, the players assembling for an adventure that would test their courage, intellect, and resolve. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with peril and promise. Alex Marsh stood in the museum's grand atrium, the echoes of history surrounding him as he considered Rebecca's invitation. The prospect of exploring Isla Nublar, with its untamed wilderness and potential for groundbreaking discoveries, was too compelling to resist. He had spent years studying the intricacies of Isla Sorna, but the allure of Nublar, with its whispers of living dinosaurs and untouched ecosystems, called to him like a siren song. After a moment of contemplation, Alex pulled out his phone and replied to Rebecca's message, accepting her invitation. The decision set his heart racing, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through him. He knew the risks involved, but the opportunity to contribute to scientific understanding and preservation was a chance he couldn't pass up. With a newfound sense of purpose, Alex began his preparations. He returned to his modest apartment, its walls adorned with maps and artifacts from past expeditions. He meticulously packed his gear, ensuring he had everything necessary for the journey ahead. His backpack, worn and weathered from years of adventure, was filled with essentials, field guides, survival tools, and notebooks for documenting his findings. As he packed, Alex's thoughts drifted to his late father, whose passion for archaeology had ignited Alex's own love for exploration. Memories of their shared adventures filled him with a sense of nostalgia and determination. He knew his father would have been proud of his decision to embark on this mission. The next step was to secure travel arrangements to Costa Rica, the gateway to Isla Nublar. Alex reached out to contacts he had made during previous expeditions, leveraging their expertise to arrange transport and logistics. He understood the importance of discretion. The fewer people who knew about their venture, the better. As the sun set over Los Angeles, casting a golden hue over the city, Alex felt a sense of anticipation building within him. The journey ahead promised to be one of discovery and danger, a test of his skills and resolve. But he was ready, driven by a desire to uncover the secrets of Isla Nublar and ensure its wonders were respected and preserved. With his preparations complete, Alex took a moment to reflect on the path before him. The island awaited, its mysteries hidden beneath a canopy of ancient trees and the shadows of creatures long thought extinct. He was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, guided by a sense of purpose and the spirit of adventure. As Alex Marsh finalized his preparations, a sense of anticipation mingled with the weight of responsibility. The expedition to Isla Nublar was not just a professional opportunity, it was a personal journey that connected him to the legacy of exploration passed down from his father. Yet, as he packed the last of his gear, his thoughts were interrupted by a familiar voice. "Dad, are you really going to Isla Nublar?" The voice belonged to Isabella Summers, Alex's daughter, who stood in the doorway with an expression that was a mix of concern and curiosity. At 18, Isabella possessed the same adventurous spirit as her father, her keen eyes and inquisitive mind a reflection of Alex's own. Alex paused, meeting her gaze. "Isabella, I didn't want to worry you, but yes, I am. It's an important expedition, and there's so much we can learn from the island." Isabella stepped closer, her voice steady. "I know, but there's something you need to know. I've been following some forums and reports online. People have been talking about the island, strange sightings, unusual weather patterns. It's like the island is changing." Alex listened intently, surprised by the depth of her knowledge. Isabella had always been resourceful, her interest in the natural world nurtured by their shared adventures. "What kind of changes?" he asked. "Some say there are new species, not just dinosaurs, but hybrids, things that shouldn't exist. And the weather, it's unpredictable, like the island has a mind of its own," Isabella explained, her voice tinged with urgency. Alex considered her words, the implications adding a new layer of complexity to the expedition. "This information is invaluable, Isabella. Thank you for bringing it to me. It sounds like we'll need to be even more cautious than I thought." Isabella nodded, relief mingling with pride at being able to contribute. "Just promise me you will be careful, Dad. I know you love these adventures, but I want you to come back safely." Alex smiled, pulling her into a hug. "I promise, Isabella. I'll be careful. And who knows, maybe one day you'll join me on one of these expeditions." With Isabella's information adding urgency to his preparations, Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. The island's secrets were more tantalizing than ever, and he was determined to uncover them while ensuring the safety of his team. Isabella Summers sat at her desk, her laptop screen glowing with the faint light of online forums and articles about Isla Nublar. Her father's expedition weighed heavily on her mind, and the more she read, the more she felt drawn into the island's mysteries. The stories of strange sightings and unpredictable weather patterns fascinated and worried her in equal measure. Her curiosity, a trait she shared with her father, pushed her to dig deeper. She found reports from amateur explorers, satellite images showing unusual activity, and even cryptic messages hinting at new species that defied explanation. Each piece of information was a puzzle, and Isabella was determined to fit them together. As she immersed herself in the digital labyrinth of Isla Nublar's secrets, a daring idea began to form in her mind. The thought of her father facing unknown dangers alone was unsettling, and the desire to see the island for herself grew stronger with each passing hour. She knew the risks, but the call of adventure was irresistible. Isabella's decision was made in the quiet hours of the night. She would join her father on the expedition, not as a passive observer, but as an active participant. Her heart raced with the thrill of the plan, even as her mind catalogued the potential consequences. The next day, while Alex was preoccupied with final preparations, Isabella quietly packed a small bag with essentials, clothing, a notebook, and a camera to document her findings. She knew the flight details, the time and location of departure, all from overhearing her father's conversations. As the day of departure arrived, Isabella made her way to the airport, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and anxiety. She kept a low profile, blending in with the crowd of passengers. Her plan was simple yet audacious. She would sneak onto the plane her father was taking to reach Isla Nublar. The airport buzzed with activity, and as boarding began, Isabella slipped through the throng of travelers, her eyes locked on her father's distant figure. With a deep breath, she followed, her resolve unwavering. The plane loomed ahead, a gateway to the adventure she craved. As she settled into a seat near the back, Isabella felt a surge of exhilaration. She was on her way to Isla Nublar, ready to face whatever challenges awaited. Her father's promise to be careful echoed in her mind, but now, she would be there to ensure it. As the plane ascended into the sky, Alex Marsh settled into his seat, a sense of anticipation coursing through him. He was surrounded by fellow expedition members, the air buzzing with discussions about the upcoming journey to Isla Nublar. But as he glanced around, something felt off. An unsettling presence lingered in the back of his mind. After the plane leveled out, Alex decided to stretch his legs and make his way to the rear of the cabin. He needed a moment to collect his thoughts, to prepare for the challenges that awaited them on the island. But as he approached the back, he caught sight of a familiar figure huddled in a seat, her head bent over a notebook. Isabella. His heart dropped, a mix of shock and concern flooding through him. Isabella, what are you doing here? He exclaimed, his voice a mix of disbelief and anger. He glanced around, ensuring no one else had noticed the confrontation. Isabella looked up, her expression a blend of defiance and excitement. I came to join you, Dad. I couldn't just let you go without me. There's too much at stake. Alex felt a surge of frustration. This isn't a game, Isabella. You have no idea what you're getting into. Isla Nublar is dangerous. I didn't want you to be involved in this. But I do know, Dad. I've been researching the island. I have information that could help us. You can't just treat me like a child. I'm capable of contributing. Isabella shot back, her voice steady despite the tension. Alex ran a hand through his hair, pacing slightly as he tried to process her presence. You think I don't want you to help? It's just, this is my responsibility. I can't have you in danger because of my choices. Isabella's eyes narrowed, frustration boiling beneath the surface. You're being overprotective. I'm old enough to make my own decisions. You taught me to embrace adventure, to seek knowledge. This is what I want. The confrontation hung in the air, a palpable tension that drew the attention of nearby passengers. Alex took a deep breath, his heart aching as he looked at his daughter. He knew her passion and intelligence, but the thought of her facing the dangers of the island filled him with dread. Isabella, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but this isn't just about exploration. There are creatures out there that we know nothing about. I can't lose you, not after everything, he said, his voice softening. Isabella's expression shifted, the defiance giving way to vulnerability. You won't lose me, Dad. I promise. I'm here to help, and I want to be part of this adventure with you. The plane continued its journey, the tension lingering as Alex weighed his options. He could see the determination in Isabella's eyes, the same fire that had driven him throughout his life. But the stakes were higher than ever, and the island was a realm of unknowns. Alex Marsh took a deep breath, the weight of his decision pressing heavily on his shoulders. As he looked into Isabella's determined eyes, he realized that he couldn't simply dismiss her desire to be part of the expedition. She was right, she was no longer a child, and her passion for exploration mirrored his own. All right, he said finally, his voice steady but laced with caution. You can stay, but we need to set some ground rules. This isn't a vacation, it's a serious expedition, and I can't have you putting yourself in danger. Isabella's face lit up with a mixture of relief and triumph. Thank you, Dad. I promise I'll be careful. What rules do you want to set? First, you stick with me or the team at all times. No wandering off on your own. If I say it's time to go, you listen. No arguments, Alex stated firmly, his gaze unwavering. Got it, Isabella replied, her excitement tempered by the gravity of the situation. Second, you need to keep your gear in check. We'll be in a volatile environment, and you have to be prepared for anything. That means being mentally and physically ready, he continued, making sure she understood the seriousness of their undertaking. Isabella nodded, her expression shifting to one of resolve. I understand. I've packed everything I need, and I'll follow your lead. Lastly, Alex added, his tone softening slightly, if it gets too dangerous or if I say it's time to leave, you have to trust me. I'll do everything I can to keep you safe, but you have to promise me you won't take unnecessary risks. I promise, Dad. I won't let you down, Isabella said, her voice filled with sincerity. As the plane continued its journey, Alex felt a mix of pride and anxiety. He had agreed to let Isabella join him, but the island was fraught with uncertainties, dangerous predators, unpredictable weather, and the unknown factors that could threaten their safety. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking a fine line between supporting her independence and ensuring her well-being. The conversation shifted to the expedition ahead, and Isabella began sharing her findings about Isla Nublar, the reports of strange creatures and the environmental changes she had uncovered. Alex listened intently, grateful for her insights, but the nagging worry remained in the back of his mind. As they prepared to land, Alex felt the thrill of adventure coursing through him. Together, they would face the challenges of Isla Nublar, and while he couldn't predict what awaited them, he knew they would do it as a team. On the sun-drenched shores of Isla Nublar, Dr. Rebecca Lynn paced nervously along the edge of the makeshift landing zone. The air was thick with humidity, the sounds of the jungle alive with the calls of unseen creatures. Beside her, Jackson Hardwell stood with his arms crossed, scanning the horizon for any sign of the approaching plane. Do you think they're okay? Rebecca asked, her voice tinged with concern. She had spent countless hours preparing for this expedition, but the unpredictability of the island weighed heavily on her mind. Jackson nodded, though his own expression betrayed a hint of worry. They've been trained for this. Alex knows what he's doing. But Isla Nublar isn't like Sorna. We have to be ready for anything. Just then, the distant roar of the plane's engines grew louder, and both of them turned to face the runway. The aircraft descended, its wheels touching down on the rugged terrain with a cloud of dust and debris. Rebecca's heart raced as she watched the plane come to a halt, the moment of truth finally upon them. As the side door of the plane swung open, a rush of excitement filled the air. Alex stepped out first, his rugged silhouette framed against the backdrop of the lush jungle. But it was the figure beside him that caught Rebecca's attention. Isabella, Alex's daughter, had joined them on the expedition. Alex, Rebecca called out, waving her arms in greeting. She felt a mix of relief and curiosity as the two approached. Hey, Rebecca. Jackson. Alex replied, his voice warm and welcoming. He gestured to Isabella, who stood slightly behind him, her expression a blend of excitement and apprehension. I'd like you to meet my daughter, Isabella Summers. She's decided to join us. Rebecca's eyes widened in surprise, but she quickly masked her reaction with a smile. It's great to meet you, Isabella. Your dad has told me so much about you. Thanks. I'm really excited to be here, Isabella said, her voice filled with enthusiasm. She glanced around, taking in the vibrant surroundings. This place is incredible. Jackson stepped forward, extending a hand. Welcome aboard, Isabella. Just know that this isn't going to be a walk in the park. We're in for a serious adventure. Trust me, I'm ready for it, Isabella replied confidently, shaking his hand. I've done my research, and I know what we might be up against. As the group gathered, Alex felt a sense of pride swell within him. He had wanted to protect Isabella, but seeing her here, ready to take on the challenges of the island, filled him with hope. Together, they could face whatever dangers awaited them. But as they began discussing their plans, the air crackled with tension. The jungle loomed around them, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of Isla Nublar. The team needed to stay focused and vigilant. The sun hung high in the sky, casting dappled shadows through the dense canopy as Alex, Isabella, Rebecca, and Jackson began to set up their base camp. The air was thick with humidity, and the sounds of the jungle enveloped them, a symphony of chirps, growls, and rustling leaves. They chose a clearing near the edge of the jungle, a spot that provided some shelter while still being accessible to the surrounding area. Jackson took charge of setting up the tents, his rugged hands moving with practiced efficiency. Rebecca and Isabella worked together to organize their supplies, laying out equipment and tools that would be essential for their exploration. Okay, everyone, Alex said, gathering the team around a makeshift table constructed from fallen logs. Let's go over our plan. We need to be strategic about how we explore this island. We can't afford to take unnecessary risks. Rebecca nodded, her eyes scanning the map of Isla Nublar laid out before them. I think we should start by investigating the areas where the strange sightings have been reported. If there are new species or hybrids, that's where we'll find them. Isabella leaned forward, her enthusiasm palpable. I've read that the southern part of the island has seen the most unusual activity. If we head there first, we might uncover some incredible discoveries. Jackson chimed in, we should also consider the weather patterns. If a storm rolls in, we need to have a safe route back to camp. I suggest we establish a few key points along the way so we don't get lost. Alex listened intently, appreciating the insights each team member brought to the table. Good points. We'll split into 2 groups. Rebecca and I will lead one team to the southern region, while Jackson and Isabella can scout the northern perimeter. We'll meet back here at dusk to share our findings. Sounds like a plan, Jackson agreed, a hint of excitement in his voice. As they continued to strategize, the atmosphere buzzed with a mix of nervous energy and anticipation. Each member of the team understood the gravity of their mission, the weight of the unknown pressing down on them. Isla Nublar was a place of beauty and danger, and they were about to dive headfirst into its depths. Once the camp was set and the plan laid out, the team took a moment to gather their gear and prepare for the journey ahead. Alex felt a sense of pride swell within him as he watched Isabella, her eyes sparkling with determination. She was ready to face the challenges that lay ahead, and he knew that together they could navigate the uncertainties of the island. As they set off into the jungle, the vibrant green foliage enveloped them, the calls of distant creatures echoing in the air. The adventure had begun, and Isla Nublar awaited their exploration. Jackson Hardwell and Isabella ventured deeper into the northern perimeter of Isla Nublar, the dense foliage closing in around them. The air was thick with humidity, and the sounds of the jungle created a backdrop of life, both beautiful and foreboding. Jackson led the way, his instincts honed from years of exploring the wild, while Isabella followed closely, her curiosity piqued by every rustle and call. As they navigated through the underbrush, Jackson's sharp eyes caught sight of a structure partially hidden by vines and foliage. "Over here," he called to Isabella, gesturing toward the building. It appeared to be an old maintenance shed, long abandoned and overtaken by nature. Cautiously, they approached, and Jackson pushed aside the vines to reveal a door that had long since fallen off its hinges. Inside, the air was stale, thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. As they stepped into the dim light, Jackson's heart raced with anticipation. "Look at this," he said, pointing toward a corner of the shed. There, nestled among the debris, was a nest, large and circular, made of twigs and leaves. Jackson's breath caught in his throat as he recognized the unmistakable signs of a dinosaur nest. "Jackson, be careful," Isabella warned, her voice low as she peered over his shoulder. "What if the mother comes back?" "I know," he replied, his voice steady but filled with awe. "But look, there are 5 eggs here. This could be a velociraptor nest." Isabella's eyes widened as she examined the eggs, their surface smooth and mottled with earthy tones. "We should leave them, Jackson. It's not safe to take them. We don't know what might happen if we disturb them." Jackson hesitated, torn between his respect for nature and the thrill of discovery. The temptation was strong, the idea of studying one of these eggs up close was almost irresistible. "Just one," he murmured, reaching out gently to lift one of the eggs from the nest. "I'll return it after we study it. It's a chance to learn something incredible." "Jackson, please," Isabella pleaded, her voice urgent. "If the mother comes back and finds us here, it could be dangerous. We need to think about our safety first." With a sigh, Jackson weighed her words, but the allure of the egg was overwhelming. With careful hands, he placed the egg into his satchel, securing it safely within. "All right, we'll leave now. But I can't just ignore this opportunity." As they exited the shed, a sense of unease settled over them. The jungle felt alive, almost watchful, as if aware of their presence. Jackson glanced back at the nest one last time, a mix of excitement and guilt swirling within him. "Let's head back to camp," he said, his voice low. "We need to report what we found and keep an eye out for any signs of the mother." Isabella nodded, her heart racing as they retraced their steps through the jungle, the weight of the egg in Jackson's satchel a constant reminder of the risks they had taken. Jackson and Isabella moved swiftly through the dense jungle, the weight of the velociraptor egg in Jackson's satchel a constant reminder of their daring decision. The path back to camp was fraught with the sounds of the jungle, rustling leaves, distant calls, and the ever-present hum of insects. Isabella kept a watchful eye on their surroundings, alert to any signs of danger. As they approached the clearing where their base camp was situated, a sense of urgency propelled them forward. The discovery they had made was significant, and they knew Alex and Rebecca needed to be informed immediately. The potential implications of a velociraptor nest on the island were both thrilling and concerning. When they finally reached the camp, Alex and Rebecca were huddled over a map, deep in discussion about the next steps in their exploration. The sight of Jackson and Isabella emerging from the jungle caught their attention, and Alex stood up, a curious expression on his face. "Jackson, Isabella, you're back," Alex greeted, his eyes shifting to the satchel Jackson carried. "Did you find anything interesting?" Jackson nodded, his expression a mix of excitement and apprehension. "We found an abandoned shed, and inside, there was a nest. A velociraptor nest, with 5 eggs." Rebecca's eyes widened in surprise, her scientific curiosity piqued. "A velociraptor nest? That's incredible, but also potentially dangerous." Did you take any of the eggs? Isabella glanced at Jackson, her concern evident. Jackson took one. He thought it was important for us to study it, but I'm worried about what might happen if the mother comes looking for it. Alex's expression turned serious, his protective instincts kicking in. Jackson, we need to be careful. Taking an egg could provoke the mother, and we don't know how she might react. The safety of the team has to come first. Jackson nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. I know, Alex, but this egg could provide us with valuable insights. We need to handle this carefully. Rebecca stepped forward, her mind already racing with possibilities. We should document the egg and gather as much information as we can, but we also need to be prepared for any repercussions. If the mother is nearby, we have to be ready. As the team discussed their next steps, the jungle around them seemed to close in, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of Isla Nublar. The Velociraptor egg was both a scientific treasure and a potential threat, and the team needed to tread carefully as they navigated the delicate balance between discovery and safety. The weight of the Velociraptor egg and the discovery of the nest lingered in the air, a reminder of the delicate balance they needed to maintain on Isla Nublar. Alex Marsh, ever the pragmatic leader, knew that their expedition required more than just caution. It needed a strategic approach to understanding the island's inhabitants. Gathering the team around the makeshift table in their camp, Alex laid out his plan. We need to get a better sense of the dinosaur populations on the island. It's crucial for our research and for ensuring our safety. I propose we take a journey around the island, identify potential habitats, and study the creatures from a distance. Isabella's eyes lit up with excitement. That sounds amazing, Dad. We'll be able to see them in their natural environment, learn how they've adapted. Rebecca nodded in agreement, her scientific curiosity piqued. It's a great opportunity to document their behaviors and interactions. We should focus on areas where sightings have been reported. Jackson, ever the outdoorsman, added, we'll need to be stealthy and keep our distance. The last thing we want is to provoke them or end up in a dangerous situation. With the plan set, the team prepared for their journey. They gathered their equipment, binoculars, cameras, notebooks, tools essential for observing the dinosaurs without disturbing them. Each member of the team understood the importance of their mission, the need to respect the island's inhabitants while gaining valuable insights. As they set off into the jungle, the sun cast long shadows through the trees, the air alive with the sounds of the island. The path ahead was uncertain, but the thrill of discovery propelled them forward. They moved with caution, their senses attuned to the environment around them. Their journey took them through dense foliage, across rocky outcrops, and along the edges of clearings where the dinosaurs might roam. Each sighting was a moment of wonder, a herd of herbivores grazing peacefully, a lone predator stalking through the underbrush. Isabella walked beside Alex, her eyes wide with awe as they observed the majestic creatures from a safe distance. This is incredible, Dad. Seeing them like this, it's like stepping back in time. Alex smiled, his heart swelling with pride. It's a reminder of the beauty and power of nature. We're here to learn, to understand, and to respect what we find. Rebecca and Jackson shared a look of mutual understanding, their minds racing with the possibilities that lay before them. The island was a living laboratory, a place where science and adventure intertwined. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the landscape, the team made their way back to camp, their minds filled with the day's discoveries. They knew that their journey was just beginning, and the island held many more secrets waiting to be uncovered. As the team settled back into their camp, the atmosphere was charged with excitement and curiosity. They gathered around the makeshift table, eager to analyze the day's findings and discuss their next steps. Alex spread out the map of Isla Nublar, tracing the routes they had taken and marking the areas where they had observed dinosaur activity. Today was incredible, Alex began, his voice filled with enthusiasm. We saw a variety of species and documented their behaviors. But there's still so much we don't know, especially about the areas marked on this map. Isabella leaned closer, her eyes scanning the map. What about this section here? She pointed to a spot labeled Restricted Area, Sector 5. Why is it marked like that? Rebecca furrowed her brow, intrigued. That area has been off limits for years. It could hold some significant discoveries, but it's also likely to be dangerous. Alex nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. I think it's worth investigating. We need to understand why it's restricted and what species could be found there. I'll assign a team to explore that area. He looked around the group, assessing the members who had joined them on this expedition. I'll need 8 of you to investigate Sector 5. You'll gather data, take notes, and report back. The rest of us will remain here to analyze the information we've collected and prepare for any potential findings. The group murmured in agreement, excitement and apprehension mingling in the air. Jackson spoke up, just be careful. We don't know what's lurking in those restricted areas. Stay alert and communicate if you encounter anything unusual. With the plan set, Alex began to assign team members to the investigation. As he called out names, Isabella felt a surge of determination. "Can I go, too?" she asked, her voice steady. "I want to see what's in that area. I can help." Alex hesitated, weighing the risks. "Isabella, it might be dangerous. I want you to stay here where it's safe. But I can contribute. I've been doing research, and I can help gather data. Please, Dad," she pleaded, her eyes earnest. After a moment of consideration, Alex relented. "All right, you can join them. But you need to follow all safety protocols and stay with the group at all times." Isabella beamed, excitement bubbling within her. As the team prepared for their journey into the unknown, the air was thick with anticipation. They were about to uncover secrets that had been hidden for too long, and the thrill of discovery propelled them forward. With their gear packed and their objectives clear, the team set off toward the restricted area, determination etched on their faces. The jungle loomed ahead, a tapestry of shadows and sounds, waiting to reveal its secrets. As the exploration team ventured into the heart of Sector 5, the atmosphere was charged with a mixture of excitement and tension. The dense jungle around them felt alive, each rustle and distant call a reminder of the island's untamed nature. Isabella walked near the front, her eyes wide with anticipation as she took in the lush surroundings. The team moved cautiously, their senses heightened as they navigated the unfamiliar terrain. The map had marked this area as restricted, and they were eager to uncover the reasons behind its inaccessibility. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and foliage, the canopy above casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. Suddenly, a loud rustle nearby caused one of the team members to jump, his heart racing. The movement revealed a massive shape, a triceratops, its massive form nestled among the underbrush, peacefully sleeping. Isabella chuckled, her voice light with amusement. "It's okay, no need to panic. Triceratops are herbivores, remember? They're not interested in us." The startled team member exhaled, his tension easing as he realized the gentle nature of the creature before them. Right. Just wasn't expecting to see one up close like that. The team took a moment to observe the Triceratops, marveling at its sheer size and the peacefulness of its slumber. Isabella took notes, her mind racing with thoughts of how these creatures had thrived in the restricted area, away from human interference. Back at base camp, Alex, Rebecca, and Jackson maintained contact with the exploration team using walkie-talkies. The crackle of static filled the air as they listened intently to the updates coming through. "Isabella, what's your status?" Alex's voice came through, steady and reassuring. "We're doing well, Dad," Isabella replied, her voice clear. "We just encountered a Triceratops. It's amazing. The area seems to be a haven for them." Rebecca chimed in, her curiosity evident. "Any signs of other species or unusual activity?" "Not yet," Isabella answered. "But we're continuing to explore. We'll keep you updated." As the team pressed on, the mysteries of Sector 5 beckoned them deeper into the jungle. Each step brought them closer to understanding the secrets the island held, and the thrill of discovery spurred them forward. The exploration team pressed forward, their excitement palpable as they ventured deeper into the heart of Sector 5. The jungle around them seemed to pulse with life, the air filled with the calls of creatures both familiar and unknown. Each step brought them closer to the mysteries that lay hidden within the restricted area. As they moved through the dense foliage, Isabella suddenly stopped, her eyes widening in awe. Before them, grazing peacefully in a sun-dappled clearing, was a group of dinosaurs unlike any they had seen before. Their scales shimmered with iridescent hues, and their unique crests and frills set them apart from any known species. "Look at that," Isabella whispered, her voice filled with wonder. "They're incredible." The team gathered around, their expressions a mix of amazement and curiosity. Cameras clicked as they documented the new species, capturing images that would be invaluable to their research. Isabella carefully took notes, her mind racing with questions about the creatures' behaviors and adaptations. Eager to share their discovery, Isabella reached for her walkie-talkie, her fingers trembling with excitement. "Dad, you won't believe what we've found," she said, her voice crackling through the static. Back at base camp, Alex, Rebecca, and Jackson listened intently, their own excitement mounting. "What is it, Isabella?" Alex's voice came through, steady and encouraging. "There are new species here, Dad. They're unlike anything we've ever seen." "We're taking pictures and notes," Isabella replied, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. Rebecca leaned closer to the walkie-talkie, her scientific curiosity piqued. "Can you describe them? Any idea of their behaviors?" "They seem peaceful, grazing together. But we're keeping our distance, just in case," Isabella explained. Alex's voice was firm but supportive. "That's incredible, Isabella. Keep exploring, but be careful. We don't know how they might react if they feel threatened." With Alex's encouragement, the team continued their exploration, delving deeper into the restricted area. The jungle seemed to open up before them, revealing a world of wonders and potential dangers. Each new discovery fueled their determination, and they moved with a sense of purpose, eager to uncover the secrets of Sector 5. As they ventured further, the team remained vigilant, aware that the beauty of the island could be deceptive. The thrill of discovery was tempered by the knowledge that danger could lurk around any corner. As the exploration team continued their journey through Sector 5, the jungle seemed to grow denser, the air charged with an undercurrent of tension. The vibrant sounds of the island filled their ears, but there was a new presence that seemed to stalk them from the shadows, a predatory gaze that watched their every move. Suddenly, the underbrush rustled violently, and a creature emerged, its form both familiar and alien. It stood on powerful legs, its body sleek and muscular, with the distinctive claws of a velociraptor and the robust frame of an allosaurus. The hybrid dinosaur's eyes glinted with a predatory intelligence, its gaze fixed on the team. The team member who had been startled by the Triceratops earlier took a step back, his voice tinged with nervousness. "That one's an herbivore too, right?" Isabella's heart pounded in her chest as she assessed the creature, her instincts screaming danger. "I don't think so," she replied, her voice steady but laced with worry. "It's a mix between a velociraptor and an allosaurus, so it must be a carnivore. The meat-eating kind of dinosaur." The hybrid let out a low growl, its movements calculated and predatory. Isabella quickly turned off the walkie-talkie, fearing that any noise from Alex, Rebecca, or Jackson could draw the creature's attention. The team needed to stay silent and undetected. "We need to move, slowly and quietly," Isabella whispered to the team, her eyes never leaving the hybrid. "If we stay calm, we can find a way to reach Reed without provoking it." The team nodded, their movements cautious and deliberate as they began to back away from the creature. The hybrid watched them with a predatory interest, its instincts honed for the hunt. The jungle seemed to close in around them, every rustle and snap of a twig magnified in the tense silence. As they retreated, Isabella's mind raced with thoughts of how to outmaneuver the creature. The island's dangers were real, and they needed to rely on their wits and teamwork to stay safe. The hybrid was a reminder of the unpredictable nature of Isla Nublar, a place where beauty and danger coexisted in a delicate balance. The tension in the air was palpable as the exploration team faced the hybrid dinosaur, its predatory gaze fixed intently on them. Isabella's mind raced, searching for a way to extricate her team from the dangerous situation. The jungle around them seemed to hold its breath, the usual cacophony of sounds muted in the face of imminent danger. Just as the hybrid took a cautious step forward, a sudden shift in the atmosphere caught everyone's attention. The sky, which had been clear moments before, darkened ominously as clouds rolled in with alarming speed. A low rumble of thunder echoed through the jungle, and the air grew thick with the promise of rain. Isabella seized the moment, her instincts kicking in. "This storm might be our chance," she whispered urgently to the team. "We need to use the cover of the rain to slip away. Stay close and keep quiet." As the first drops of rain began to fall, the hybrid's attention wavered, its senses momentarily distracted by the changing environment. The team moved as one, using the building storm to mask their retreat. The rain intensified, a curtain of water that blurred the lines of sight and muffled their movements. The jungle came alive with the sound of the storm, the roar of the rain and the crack of thunder creating a natural symphony that drowned out their footsteps. Isabella led the way, her heart pounding as she navigated the familiar paths back toward camp. The hybrid, now disoriented by the storm, hesitated, its pursuit thwarted by the sudden deluge. As they made their way through the rain-soaked jungle, the team remained vigilant, aware that the storm provided only a temporary reprieve. The island's dangers were ever present, and they needed to reach the safety of their base camp as quickly as possible. When they finally emerged from the jungle, soaked but unharmed, the sight of the camp brought a wave of relief. Alex, Rebecca, and Jackson were waiting, their expressions a mix of concern and curiosity as the team approached. "Isabella, what happened?" Alex asked, his voice filled with both relief and urgency. "We encountered a hybrid dinosaur, a mix between a velociraptor and an allosaurus," Isabella explained breathlessly. "The storm gave us a chance to escape." Rebecca's eyes widened in astonishment. "A hybrid? That's incredible, and dangerous. We need to be cautious." Jackson nodded, his gaze shifting to the stormy sky. "The weather worked in our favor this time, but we can't rely on it. We need to regroup and plan our next steps carefully." With their adrenaline still pumping, the team gathered to share their experiences and strategize their next move. The storm had provided them with a narrow escape, but the island's mysteries and dangers remained, waiting to be uncovered. As the storm continued to rage outside, the exploration team gathered around the makeshift table in their camp, the air thick with tension and determination. Raindrops pattered against the canvas of their tents, creating a rhythmic backdrop as they discussed their next steps. The encounter with the hybrid dinosaur had underscored the need for a more strategic approach to their exploration. Alex took charge, his voice steady and authoritative. We need to revise our exploration plan. The hybrid we encountered is a serious threat, and we can't afford to underestimate it or other potential dangers on the island. Isabella nodded, her mind still racing from the adrenaline of their escape. We should focus on areas that are easier to navigate and less likely to be home to aggressive species. We can use the data we've collected to identify safer zones. Rebecca chimed in, her scientific curiosity ignited. We should also consider setting up observation points. If we can monitor the hybrid's behavior from a distance, we might learn more about it without putting ourselves in danger. Jackson added, we need to ensure that we have a clear communication plan. If we split into smaller groups, we should have a system in place to check in regularly. The last thing we want is to lose contact with each other in a dangerous situation. Alex nodded in agreement, appreciating the input from his team. Let's designate specific areas to explore, and we'll rotate shifts to keep watch. We can also set up motion sensors around the camp to alert us if any creatures approach. The team began to map out their new plan, discussing which areas to prioritize and how to implement their safety measures. They decided to focus on the more open sections of the island, where visibility would be better and the risk of encountering aggressive species would be lower. As they finalized their strategy, the rain began to ease, but the sky remained overcast, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of Isla Nublar. The team knew that the hybrid threat loomed large, but with their new plan in place, they felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. With the plan set, the team prepared for the next phase of their expedition, ready to face the challenges that awaited them while keeping safety at the forefront of their minds. With their new plan in place, the exploration team split into smaller groups, each tasked with investigating designated areas of Isla Nublar while remaining vigilant for any signs of danger. The air was thick with anticipation as they prepared to face the island's mysteries, now armed with a better understanding of the threats that lurked within. Alex gathered his group, which included Isabella and Jackson. We'll head toward the eastern ridge, he said, pointing to the map. It's less dense and should provide a good vantage point. We need to be cautious and keep an eye out for any movement. Isabella nodded, her heart racing with excitement. I'll keep my camera ready to document anything we see. Let's be as quiet as possible so we don't attract any attention. Meanwhile, Rebecca led another group toward the southern area, where they hoped to find evidence of the herbivorous species they had previously observed. Stay alert and communicate regularly, she reminded her team. If you spot anything unusual, let me know immediately. As the team set off in their respective directions, the jungle enveloped them, the sounds of the island filling the air. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of excitement and caution, each member acutely aware of the potential dangers that lay ahead. Alex, Isabella, and Jackson moved carefully through the underbrush, their senses heightened. They navigated the terrain with practiced ease, avoiding areas that showed signs of dinosaur activity. The lush greenery provided ample cover, but it also concealed the unknown. Look over there, Isabella whispered, pointing to a cluster of large ferns. That could be a good spot to set up an observation point. Jackson nodded in agreement. Let's take a closer look, but remember to keep our voices down. We don't want to attract any unwanted attention. As they approached the ferns, a sudden rustle caught their attention. The three of them froze, their hearts pounding in their chests. Alex held up a hand, signaling for silence. The rustling grew louder, and they exchanged worried glances. Just as they were about to back away, a small herd of herbivorous dinosaurs emerged from the foliage, their long necks stretching as they grazed on the ferns. Alex let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding, relief flooding through him. Looks like we found some peaceful residents, he said, a smile breaking across his face. Let's observe them from a distance. Isabella raised her camera, capturing the moment as the dinosaurs moved gracefully through the clearing. The sight was awe-inspiring, a reminder of the beauty and wonder that Isla Nublar held. They watched in silence, grateful for the opportunity to witness these creatures in their natural habitat. Meanwhile, Rebecca's group was also making discoveries in the southern area, carefully documenting the flora and fauna while avoiding any signs of the hybrid. The island was alive with the sounds of nature, and the team felt a renewed sense of purpose as they explored. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting golden rays through the trees, the teams knew it was time to regroup and share their findings. They had successfully avoided danger and uncovered the island's wonders, but the threat of the hybrid still loomed in the back of their minds. As Isabella crouched behind a thick cluster of ferns, her heart raced not just from the thrill of discovery but from the weight of responsibility that had settled on her shoulders. The expedition was more than just an adventure, it was a chance to contribute to a deeper understanding of a world that had been lost to time. The wonders of Isla Nublar were unfolding before her, and she felt an overwhelming desire to document every moment. Her mind raced with thoughts of the new species they had encountered, the herbivores grazing peacefully, and the dangers that lurked just beyond the trees. But it was the hybrid, a creature born from the merging of two apex predators, that haunted her thoughts. What did it mean for the balance of this ecosystem? What dangers did it pose not only to their team but to the other creatures on the island? Suddenly, a rustle in the underbrush snapped her back to reality. Isabella's breath caught in her throat as she turned her gaze toward the sound. Emerging slowly from the jungle was the hybrid, its powerful body moving with a predatory grace. The creature paused, its keen senses alert as it scanned the area. Isabella's instincts kicked in, and she motioned for her teammates to remain silent. They all froze, hearts pounding in their chests, as the hybrid stepped into the clearing. The sunlight caught its scales, creating a mesmerizing display of colors that danced across its muscular frame. With her camera poised, Isabella felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. This was a moment she had only dreamed of, a chance to capture the very essence of a creature that had never existed before. She steadied her breath, focusing on the hybrid as it moved cautiously, unaware of the team's presence. Click. The sound of the shutter echoed softly, and Isabella captured the image, her heart racing as she hoped it would come out clear. The hybrid continued to scan the surroundings, but thankfully, it didn't seem to notice them. It turned its head, sniffing the air, and then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, it disappeared back into the dense foliage of the jungle. The team remained hidden, holding their breath until the sounds of the hybrid's footsteps faded into the distance. Isabella felt a wave of relief wash over her, mixed with the thrill of having witnessed something extraordinary. "Did you get it?" Jackson whispered, breaking the silence as they slowly emerged from their hiding spots. Isabella nodded, her excitement bubbling to the surface. "I did. I can't believe we just saw it up close. This could change everything we know about dinosaurs on this island." As they regrouped, the significance of their discoveries weighed heavily on Isabella's mind. She realized that she was not just an observer, she was part of a team that had the potential to contribute to scientific understanding in ways they had never imagined. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, but it was also filled with opportunities to learn and grow. As Isabella and her team made their way back to base camp, excitement bubbled within them. The encounter with the hybrid had left them buzzing with adrenaline, and Isabella couldn't wait to share the photo she had captured. The jungle around them was alive with the sounds of nature, but her thoughts were focused on the significance of their discoveries. When they arrived at camp, they were greeted by the sight of Rebecca and her team returning as well. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as the two groups converged, and Isabella's eyes widened in surprise at what Rebecca's team had brought with them. "Look what we found," Rebecca exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement. Behind her, a sturdy cage was being carried by two of her team members, and inside it was a small dinosaur, a juvenile ankylosaurus, its armored body glimmering in the fading light. Isabella rushed over, her curiosity piqued. "You captured a dinosaur? That's incredible. What are you planning to do with it?" Rebecca smiled, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "We're going to study its behavior. This little one could provide us with insights into how these creatures interact with their environment, especially since we've seen so many herbivores in the area." Jackson joined them, peering into the cage with a mix of awe and caution. "Just be careful. We don't want to stress it out. The last thing we need is for it to become aggressive." Rebecca nodded, her expression serious. "We'll keep it calm and observe from a distance. The goal is to learn, not to disturb its natural behavior." As they set up the cage in a designated area of the camp, Isabella felt a surge of excitement. This was a unique opportunity to witness the behaviors of a dinosaur up close, and she was eager to document everything. The hybrid they had encountered was a reminder of the dangers they faced, but this little ankylosaurus represented the wonders of the island. The team gathered around the cage, their eyes fixed on the juvenile dinosaur as it began to explore its new surroundings. Isabella took out her camera, ready to capture the moment. The atmosphere was filled with a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose as they prepared to study the creature that had been brought back from the wild. As the team settled around the cage containing the juvenile ankylosaurus, the atmosphere shifted to one of excitement and brainstorming. The recent encounter with the hybrid had left everyone buzzing, and they knew it was time to come up with a name for the remarkable creature they had seen, a mix between a velociraptor and an allosaurus. "Okay, everyone," Alex said, leaning forward with a grin. "We need a name for this hybrid. Something that reflects its unique nature." Rebecca nodded enthusiastically. "It should capture both aspects of its lineage. It's a predator but also has the robust build of an allosaurus." Isabella felt a surge of inspiration as she listened to her teammates discuss potential names. What about combining the two names? Velociraptor and allosaurus could become something unique. Jackson raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "That could work. What do you have in mind?" Isabella thought for a moment, her mind racing with possibilities. "How about Velosaur? It combines the velo from Velociraptor and soar from Allosaurus. It sounds fierce and fitting for a creature like this. The team fell silent for a moment, considering the name. Alex was the first to break the silence, a smile spreading across his face. I like it. Velosaur has a nice ring to it and really captures the essence of what we encountered. Rebecca chimed in, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. It's perfect. Velosaur it is. It reflects both its speed and strength. Jackson nodded in agreement. Great choice, Isabella. It's a name that will stick. With the name Velosaur officially decided, the team felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had not only witnessed something extraordinary but had also contributed to the narrative of the island's inhabitants. The Velosaur would become a symbol of their discoveries, a reminder of the delicate balance between nature and the dangers that lurked within it. As they continued to observe the juvenile Ankylosaurus, Isabella felt a sense of pride swell within her. She was part of something bigger than herself, a team dedicated to understanding and respecting the wonders of Isla Nublar. With the excitement of naming the Velosaur behind them, the team redirected their attention to the juvenile Ankylosaurus in its cage. The small dinosaur moved cautiously, its armored body a testament to its evolutionary adaptations for survival. The team gathered around, eager to observe its behavior and learn more about its habits. Rebecca took the lead, her scientific curiosity driving her observations. Let's focus on its movements and interactions with the environment. We need to understand how it reacts to different stimuli. Isabella watched intently, her camera ready to capture every moment. The Ankylosaurus seemed curious but wary, its small eyes scanning the surroundings as it explored the confines of the cage. It nudged at the foliage they had placed inside, testing its surroundings with gentle prods of its snout. Jackson jotted down notes, his attention divided between the dinosaur and the jungle beyond. It's fascinating how it uses its tail for balance and defense. Even at this young age, it knows how to protect itself. Alex nodded, his gaze fixed on the creature. We should also monitor its feeding habits. Understanding its diet could give us insights into the ecosystem here. As the Ankylosaurus continued to explore, the team documented its behavior meticulously. They noted its reactions to different plants, its preference for certain types of foliage, and the way it communicated through low rumbles and body language. Each observation added to their growing understanding of the island's inhabitants. Isabella felt a sense of wonder as she watched the Ankylosaurus interact with its environment. This was the essence of their expedition, to learn, to observe, and to respect the creatures that called Isla Nublar home. The island was a living laboratory, and they were privileged to be part of its unfolding story. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the camp, the team knew they had only scratched the surface of what the island had to offer. The juvenile Ankylosaurus was just one piece of a larger puzzle, and they were determined to uncover all the secrets Isla Nublar held. As the day drew to a close and the warm hues of the setting sun bathed the camp in a golden glow, Isabella found herself reflecting on the events that had unfolded. The juvenile Ankylosaurus, now settled in its temporary enclosure, was a living testament to the wonders of Isla Nublar. Watching it navigate its environment with cautious curiosity, Isabella felt a profound sense of connection to the prehistoric world. Her thoughts drifted to the path that had led her here, to this moment on an island teeming with life that had once roamed the earth millions of years ago. Growing up, she had always been fascinated by dinosaurs, their majestic forms and mysterious extinctions sparking her imagination. But now, standing on this island, she realized her fascination had deepened into something more, a passion for paleontology and a desire to contribute to the understanding of these ancient creatures. Isabella's mind raced with possibilities. The Ankylosaurus, with its armored plates and defensive tail, was a marvel of evolution. She wondered about its life in the wild, its interactions with other species, and the role it played in the island's ecosystem. Each question fueled her curiosity, driving her to learn more and to share her discoveries with the world. The expedition had opened her eyes to the complexities of studying living dinosaurs, the ethical considerations, and the responsibility of preserving their natural habitat. She felt a growing determination to pursue a career in paleontology, to delve deeper into the mysteries of the past and to advocate for the protection of these magnificent creatures. As she stood by the enclosure, watching the Ankylosaurus settle down for the night, Isabella felt a sense of purpose solidifying within her. This was where she belonged, on the front lines of discovery, contributing to the narrative of Earth's ancient history. With a contented sigh, Isabella turned her gaze to the horizon, where the last light of day faded into twilight. She knew there were challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them, driven by a passion that burned brighter than ever. As the stars began to dot the night sky, casting a serene glow over the camp, Isabella found herself drawn to the comforting presence of her father, Alex. The day's events had left her with a whirlwind of emotions and a growing clarity about her future. She knew she needed to share her thoughts with him, to seek his guidance as she considered the path she wanted to take. She approached Alex, who was seated by the fire, reviewing notes from the day's observations. The flickering flames cast a warm light on his face, highlighting the lines of experience and wisdom etched into his features. Sensing her presence, he looked up and smiled, gesturing for her to join him. "Hey, Isabella," he said, his voice filled with warmth and curiosity. "What's on your mind?" Isabella settled beside him, the crackling fire providing a comforting backdrop. "Dad, I've been thinking a lot about today and everything we've seen. This expedition, it's made me realize how much I love this work. I think I want to pursue paleontology, to really dive into understanding these creatures and their world." Alex listened intently, his heart swelling with pride. "I'm so glad to hear that, Isabella. You've always had a natural curiosity and passion for discovery. What are you thinking in terms of next steps?" "I want to study paleontology more seriously, maybe even get involved in research projects or internships," Isabella replied, her eyes bright with determination. "I know there's so much to learn, but I feel like this is what I'm meant to do." Alex nodded, his expression thoughtful. "You've got a good head on your shoulders, and your passion will take you far. Remember, it's important to balance your enthusiasm with careful study and respect for these creatures. They're part of a delicate ecosystem, and understanding that balance is key." Isabella absorbed his words, feeling both reassured and inspired. "I know, Dad. I want to learn as much as I can and contribute to preserving these wonders. Thank you for supporting me." Alex placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I'll always support you, Isabella. You're on a remarkable journey, and I'm proud to be part of it. Just know that whatever path you choose, I'll be here to help you navigate it." Their conversation continued into the night, filled with dreams and plans for the future. Isabella felt a renewed sense of purpose, ready to embrace the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. With her father's guidance, she knew she could make a meaningful impact in the world of paleontology. In the shadowy depths of the jungle, the Velosaur moved with a predatory grace, its sleek body blending seamlessly into the dappled light filtering through the canopy. The hybrid creature, a fearsome combination of Velociraptor and Allosaurus, relied on its instincts honed from generations of evolution. It was both cunning and powerful, a true apex predator in its own right. As the Velosaur prowled through the underbrush, its keen senses picked up on the subtle vibrations in the ground and the sounds of rustling leaves nearby. It paused, its body going still as it focused on a movement just ahead. A Baryonyx, a formidable carnivore known for its aquatic hunting skills, was stalking through the jungle, its long snout searching for prey. The Velosaur crouched low, instinctively camouflaging itself among the shadows and foliage. Its scales adapted to the environment, allowing it to blend in perfectly with the jungle backdrop. The Baryonyx moved closer, unaware of the danger lurking just a few feet away. The tension in the air was palpable as the Velosaur observed its target, calculating the perfect moment to strike. The Baryonyx paused, its attention drawn to a nearby rustle, and in that split second, the Velosaur lunged forward with explosive speed. With a swift and powerful motion, the Velosaur sank its teeth into the Baryonyx's neck, the sharp fangs piercing through flesh with brutal efficiency. The Baryonyx let out a startled roar, but it was too late. The Velosaur's strength and precision were overwhelming, and with a decisive twist of its head, the hybrid snapped the Baryonyx's neck, ending the struggle in an instant. The jungle fell silent, the only sound the soft rustle of leaves as the Velosaur stood over its prey, a testament to its predatory prowess. It took a moment to catch its breath, the adrenaline coursing through its veins as it surveyed the area, ensuring no other predators were nearby. After a brief pause, the Velosaur began to feed, instinct guiding its actions as it consumed the bounty it had claimed. The cycle of life continued in the heart of the jungle, a stark reminder of the harsh realities of survival on Isla Nublar. Back at base camp, the air was filled with a sense of calm as Alex, Rebecca, Jackson, and Isabella gathered around the map, discussing their next steps. The day's discoveries had been fruitful, and they were eager to plan their future explorations. However, the tranquility was abruptly shattered by a distant, unsettling sound echoing through the jungle, a roar followed by a sudden silence. The team exchanged worried glances, their instincts alerting them to potential danger. "Did you hear that?" Rebecca asked, her voice tinged with concern. Alex nodded, his expression serious. "It came from the direction of Sector 5. We need to find out what's happening." Isabella's eyes widened with curiosity and apprehension. "Do you think it could be the Velosaur? We need to be careful." Jackson, ever the pragmatist, suggested a cautious approach. "Let's send a group to investigate while we stay here to monitor the situation. We can guide them using the map and keep an eye on any changes in the area." With the decision made, Alex quickly organized the rest of the exploration team, instructing them to move quietly and stay vigilant. The group set off into the jungle, their senses heightened as they followed the path toward the source of the disturbance. As the investigation team ventured deeper into the jungle, the atmosphere grew tense. The sounds of the jungle seemed to close in around them, every rustle and snap of a twig magnified in the silence. The team moved cautiously, their eyes scanning the dense foliage for any signs of movement. Back at base camp, Alex, Rebecca, Jackson, and Isabella remained focused on the map, tracking the progress of their teammates and ready to provide guidance if needed. The air was thick with anticipation as they awaited updates from the investigation team. The jungle held its breath, the mysteries of Isla Nublar waiting to be uncovered. The team knew that the island was full of surprises, both wondrous and perilous, and they were determined to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The investigation team moved cautiously through the jungle, the air thick with tension as they approached the area where the unsettling sounds had originated. The underbrush was dense, and every rustle seemed to echo ominously in the silence. As they pushed forward, they stumbled upon the grim aftermath of the Velosaur's hunt, the lifeless body of the Baryonyx, its neck twisted at an unnatural angle. The sight sent a shiver through the team, a stark reminder of the island's dangers. They exchanged uneasy glances, their senses heightened as they assessed the situation. The jungle was eerily quiet, as if holding its breath in anticipation. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the trees, the sound of a branch snapping. The team froze, their hearts pounding in their chests as they realized the Velosaur was nearby. Panic set in as they scanned the surroundings, desperately trying to pinpoint the source of the danger. Before they could react, one of the team members was yanked from below, disappearing into the underbrush with a scream that was abruptly cut off. The chilling sound of bone snapping and skin tearing filled the air, followed by the sickening thud of the team member's headless body hitting the ground. Chaos erupted as the Velosaur launched its attack, a blur of speed and ferocity. The team members scattered, their cries of terror echoing through the jungle as one by one, they fell to the predator's relentless assault. The Velosaur moved with lethal precision, dispatching its prey with terrifying efficiency. In the aftermath, the jungle fell silent once more, the only sounds the rustle of leaves and the distant calls of unseen creatures. The Velosaur, its hunger sated, disappeared back into the shadows, leaving behind a scene of devastation. Back at base camp, the atmosphere was heavy with anticipation as Alex, Rebecca, Jackson, and Isabella waited for updates from the investigation team. The sun had dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the camp, and a sense of unease settled over them. Suddenly, the crackle of the walkie-talkie broke the silence, and Alex's heart raced as he grabbed it. "This is Alex. Do you copy?" he called out, his voice steady despite the rising tension. But there was only static in response. He exchanged worried glances with Rebecca and Jackson, their expressions mirroring his concern. "What's taking them so long?" Rebecca asked, her brow furrowed. "They should have checked in by now." Just then, the walkie-talkie crackled to life again, but the voice that came through was frantic and filled with terror. "Alex, we need help." The Velosaur, the transmission cut out abruptly, replaced by a chilling silence that sent a shiver down Alex's spine. "What was that?" he asked, his heart pounding. They sounded like they were in trouble. Before anyone could respond, another crackle came through, but this time it was a series of garbled sounds, punctuated by distant screams that echoed through the jungle. The team members at base camp froze, their hearts racing as they realized the gravity of the situation. "Get the others. We need to prepare for an emergency," Alex shouted, his voice filled with urgency. The team sprang into action, gathering supplies and readying themselves for whatever was about to come. But just as they began to mobilize, the walkie-talkie emitted one final chilling message, a scream, abruptly cut off, followed by the unmistakable sound of bone snapping and flesh tearing. The chilling realization hit them like a wave. The Velosaur was hunting, and their teammates were in grave danger. Isabella felt a surge of panic as she clutched the edge of the table. "We have to do something. We can't just sit here." Alex's expression hardened with determination. "We need to stay calm and think this through. We can't rush into the jungle without a plan. We need to gather everyone and prepare for a potential attack." As they rallied the remaining team members, the weight of the situation settled heavily on their shoulders. They had come to Isla Nublar seeking knowledge and adventure, but now they faced a nightmare that threatened to unravel everything they had worked for. As the team at base camp scrambled to prepare for the impending threat, the atmosphere was charged with tension and fear. Suddenly, the sound of hurried footsteps approached from the jungle, breaking through the silence of their anxious preparations. The team turned, weapons at the ready, as a figure emerged from the shadows. "Dr. Henry Wu," Alex exclaimed, recognizing the renowned geneticist who had been at the forefront of dinosaur cloning and hybridization. Wu appeared disheveled but determined, his eyes scanning the camp as if assessing the situation. "Alex, I'm glad I found you," Wu said, breathless. I've been tracking the Velosaur. I have crucial information about its behavior and the hybrids I created. Isabella's eyes widened in shock. You created the Velosaur? You were behind the hybrids. Wu nodded, his expression grave. Yes, I was involved in the creation of the Velosaur, along with other hybrids like the Indominus Rex, Scorpios Rex, and Indoraptor. Each of these creatures was designed with specific traits, but the Velosaur was an unintended consequence of genetic experimentation. It possesses heightened intelligence and predatory instincts. Rebecca stepped forward, her curiosity piqued. What do you mean by unintended consequence? What does that mean for us? Wu took a deep breath, his gaze serious. The Velosaur is incredibly adaptive. It can camouflage itself and has a unique hunting strategy that makes it more dangerous than anything you've encountered. If it feels threatened or hungry, it will be relentless. We need to understand its behavior if we're going to survive. Alex exchanged glances with his team, the weight of Wu's words sinking in. What do you suggest we do? We need to set up surveillance and monitoring systems to track its movements, Wu replied. And we must find a way to lure it away from the camp. If it's already hunted, it may return for more. Isabella felt a mix of fear and fascination as she absorbed the information. This was a chance to learn about the very creature that had threatened their expedition. But the stakes were higher than ever, and they needed to act quickly. Let's gather what we can and set up a plan, Alex said, his voice resolute. We can't let the Velosaur take any more lives. With Dr. Henry Wu's arrival, the team felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had a chance to confront the dangers of Isla Nublar with the knowledge and expertise that could turn the tide in their favor. As the team gathered around the fire, Dr. Henry Wu took a moment to catch his breath, the weight of his past decisions evident in his eyes. The flickering flames cast shadows on his face, highlighting the complexity of the man who had played a pivotal role in the creation of the hybrid dinosaurs that now roamed Isla Nublar. Wu began to speak, his voice tinged with regret and determination. The Velosaur was my first attempt at creating a hybrid dinosaur. It was meant to be a marvel of genetic engineering, combining the most formidable traits from various species. My initial plan was to present it to Simon Masrani as a new attraction for Jurassic World. He paused, recalling the conversation that had set the course for his actions. But Masrani dismissed the idea. He said the Velosaur would be a lost cause, that it would terrify visitors and undermine the park's vision of wonder and excitement. He wanted something more, controllable. Isabella listened intently, her curiosity piqued. So you went ahead and created it anyway. Wu nodded, a shadow of guilt crossing his features. I was driven by the potential of what could be achieved. The Velosaur wasn't just a combination of Velociraptor and Allosaurus DNA. I incorporated elements from the T-Rex, Spinosaurus, and Baryonyx as well. I wanted to create the ultimate predator, one that could adapt to any environment, hunt with unmatched precision, and possess unparalleled strength and agility. Rebecca's eyes widened in realization. That explains its size and abilities. But why keep it a secret? Wu sighed, the burden of his choices weighing heavily on him. I believed I could control it, that I could perfect the process and present it as a triumph of science. But I underestimated the complexity of its instincts and the consequences of tampering with nature. Jackson spoke up, his voice filled with a mix of admiration and caution. You've created something extraordinary, but at what cost? The Velosaur is a danger to everything on this island, including us. Wu nodded, his expression resolute. I know. That's why I'm here. We need to understand the Velosaur's behavior and find a way to contain it. It's my responsibility to ensure it doesn't cause more harm. As Wu shared his story, the team felt a renewed sense of urgency. They were not just facing a creature of immense power but the consequences of human ambition and hubris. The Velosaur was a testament to the dangers of playing God, and they were determined to confront it with the knowledge and skills they possessed. The atmosphere at the camp was tense as the team worked together to set up surveillance equipment, their focus on monitoring the Velosaur's movements. Dr. Wu's revelations had underscored the importance of understanding the creature's behavior, and they were determined to gather as much data as possible to predict its actions. Alex directed the placement of cameras and motion sensors around the perimeter, ensuring that every angle was covered. We need to be vigilant, he instructed, his voice steady but filled with urgency. The Velosaur is unpredictable, and we can't afford to be caught off guard. As the team moved quietly through the camp, a sudden, chilling sound pierced the air, the unmistakable call of a Velociraptor. Alex froze, his instincts kicking in as he signaled for the others to stay silent. The jungle seemed to hold its breath, the usual cacophony of sounds muted in the face of potential danger. Jackson clutched his satchel tightly, his thoughts immediately turning to the egg he had taken from the nest. The weight of his decision pressed heavily on him, and he knew that the egg's presence could attract unwanted attention. He cradled it protectively, ensuring it was safe and secure from any threat that might arise. Rebecca and Isabella exchanged worried glances, their hearts pounding as they scanned the shadows for any signs of movement. The jungle felt alive with unseen eyes, and they knew that the Velosaur was not the only predator they had to contend with. Dr. Wu remained focused, his mind racing with strategies to outsmart the very creature he had helped create. "Stay calm and keep your eyes open," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "We need to gather as much information as we can without drawing attention to ourselves." The team held their positions, the surveillance equipment quietly recording the subtle shifts in the jungle's rhythm. They were acutely aware of the risks they faced, but they were united in their determination to confront the challenges head-on. As the team remained silent, their hearts pounding in their chests, the surveillance equipment continued to record the jungle's activity. The tension in the air was palpable, but their patience paid off when the Velosaur finally emerged from the shadows, its sleek form moving with a predatory grace. The cameras captured every detail as the Velosaur cautiously approached the area where the investigation team had encountered the Baryonyx. It paused, sniffing the air, its keen senses alert to any potential threats. The team watched in awe, their eyes glued to the screens displaying the live feed. "Look at how it moves," Alex whispered, captivated by the creature's agility. "It's using the environment to its advantage, staying low and blending in with the foliage." Rebecca leaned closer to the monitor, her scientific curiosity ignited. "This footage will be invaluable. We can analyze its hunting patterns and behaviors, which might help us predict its next move." Isabella's excitement bubbled over as she took notes, capturing every moment. "This is incredible. We're witnessing the Velosaur in its natural habitat. It's both terrifying and beautiful." As they observed, the Velosaur began to display behaviors that revealed its predatory instincts. It crouched low, its body tense as it scanned the surroundings, demonstrating a level of intelligence that was both fascinating and alarming. The team noted how it used stealth and patience, stalking through the underbrush much like a cat would before pouncing on its prey. Suddenly, the Velosaur caught a scent and shifted its focus, moving deeper into the jungle. The team held their breath, knowing that this was a critical moment. The footage they had captured would provide crucial insights into the creature's behavior, but it also reminded them of the danger that lingered just outside their camp. As the Velosaur disappeared into the foliage, the team exchanged glances filled with a mix of relief and apprehension. They had successfully documented the hybrid in action, but they knew the information they had gathered would only heighten the stakes of their expedition. "Let's review the footage and analyze what we've learned," Alex said, his voice steady. "We need to prepare for what comes next." With the footage of the Velosaur fresh in their minds, Alex quickly organized a scouting party to investigate the area where the creature had last been seen. The group consisted of himself, Isabella, Jackson, Rebecca, and Dr. Henry Wu. They were the last known people on the island, and the urgency of their mission weighed heavily on them. "Stay alert and be ready for anything," Alex instructed as they made their way into the dense jungle. The underbrush crackled beneath their feet, and the sounds of the island enveloped them, a constant reminder of the dangers lurking nearby. As they approached the area where the Velosaur had disappeared, Henry suddenly stopped, crouching down to examine the ground. "Look here," he said, pointing to a series of large footprints embedded in the soft earth. "These are fresh. The Velosaur has been through here recently." Isabella leaned closer, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and fear. "Do you think it's heading toward the camp?" Henry nodded, his expression serious. "It's very possible. We need to move quickly." Realizing the potential danger, Alex turned to the group. "We need to get back to camp now. If the Velosaur is investigating the area, we can't risk it finding the juvenile Ankylosaurus." The group sprinted back through the jungle, adrenaline fueling their speed as they navigated the familiar terrain. The urgency of their mission pushed them forward, each member acutely aware of the stakes involved. As they neared the camp, they could see the flickering firelight through the trees, but their relief was short-lived when they heard a sudden commotion. The juvenile Ankylosaurus, agitated and restless, began to strike its tail against the wall of its cage, creating a loud thudding noise that echoed through the clearing. The Velosaur, drawn by the sound, turned its attention toward the camp, its predatory instincts ignited. The group skidded to a halt, their hearts pounding as they realized the danger was closer than they had anticipated. "Get ready," Alex shouted, his voice filled with urgency. "We need to protect the Ankylosaurus and ourselves." The Velosaur stepped into the light, its eyes gleaming with hunger and curiosity, as it approached the camp, drawn by the noise and the scent of potential prey. The Velosaur approached the juvenile Ankylosaurus's cage, its predatory instincts heightened as it sensed the small creature's vulnerability. With a swift motion, it opened the cage door, and the Ankylosaurus hesitated, sensing the danger that lurked just outside. The tension in the air was palpable as the Velosaur prepared to strike, its jaws poised to bite down on the small dinosaur's head. In a moment of desperation, Jackson reached into his pocket and pulled out his Velociraptor call whistle. "No, not like this," he shouted, his heart racing as he blew into the whistle, the sharp sound piercing through the chaos. The Velosaur froze, its attention diverted as it turned its head, trying to locate the source of the unexpected sound. The jungle fell silent, all eyes on the hybrid as it searched for the origin of the call. Suddenly, a Velociraptor burst from the underbrush, its sleek form darting into view. The raptor, sensing the Velosaur as a threat, let out a fierce cry and charged forward. In a stunning display of agility, it leaped onto the Velosaur, sinking its teeth into the hybrid's neck with a ferocity born of instinct. The Velosaur let out a roar of surprise and anger, momentarily distracted by the sudden attack. This provided the juvenile Ankylosaurus with the precious seconds it needed to escape. It bolted from the cage, its instincts kicking in as it fled to safety. The camp erupted into chaos as the Velosaur struggled against the raptor's assault. Jackson, Isabella, Alex, Rebecca, and Wu watched in awe and horror as the two predators clashed, each vying for dominance in a primal display of survival. "Now's our chance," Alex shouted, rallying the team. "We need to get the Ankylosaurus to safety and regroup." As the Velosaur and the Velociraptor fought, the team sprang into action, determined to protect their discoveries and ensure the safety of the juvenile dinosaur. With the Velosaur and Velociraptor locked in a fierce battle, the team seized the opportunity to ensure the juvenile Ankylosaurus's safety. The air was thick with tension as they moved quickly, determined to protect the small creature from the chaos unfolding around them. "Follow me, Dr. Henry Wu shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. "I know a place where we can keep it safe." The team rallied around him, forming a protective circle as they led the Ankylosaurus away from the camp. The jungle seemed to close in around them, every rustle and shadow a reminder of the dangers that lurked nearby. Wu guided them through the dense foliage, his knowledge of the island's secrets proving invaluable. He led them to a hidden path that wound through the restricted zone of the abandoned park, the overgrown remnants of a world once filled with wonder and awe. As they emerged from the jungle, a dilapidated structure loomed ahead, a secret laboratory, long forgotten by time. Wu hurried to a nearby truck parked outside, its paint faded and tires caked with mud. He gestured for the team to climb in, urgency in his every movement. "Get in, quickly," Wu urged, opening the tailgate of the truck to secure the Ankylosaurus. The small dinosaur hesitated, its eyes wide with fear, but Wu's gentle coaxing and calm presence reassured it. Carefully, he guided the creature into the tailgate, ensuring it had enough space and access to fresh air. The team piled into the truck, their hearts pounding with adrenaline as they prepared to leave the chaos behind. Wu climbed into the driver's seat, his hands steady on the wheel as he started the engine. As they drove away, the sounds of the jungle faded into the distance, the battle between the Velosaur and the Velociraptor left behind. The team knew they had narrowly escaped a dangerous situation, but they were united in their determination to protect the island's inhabitants and uncover its secrets. Their journey had been fraught with peril and discovery, and as they settled into the truck, a sense of relief washed over them. They had faced the challenges of Isla Nublar and emerged stronger, their bonds forged in the crucible of adventure. The island's mysteries remained, waiting to be uncovered, but for now, they knew they had done all they could to protect the fragile balance of life on the island. As the truck came to a halt outside the hidden laboratory, the team disembarked, their curiosity piqued by the secrets that lay within. The structure, though weathered by time, held an air of mystery and promise. Dr. Henry Wu led the way, his familiarity with the facility evident in his confident stride. Inside, the laboratory was a testament to the ambitions and complexities of Jurassic World. Rows of tempered glass cages lined the walls, each labeled with the names of different species of dinosaurs and other creatures. The air was cool and sterile, a stark contrast to the vibrant chaos of the jungle outside. Jackson's attention was immediately drawn to a cage containing a sleeping Velociraptor, its sleek form curled up in a corner. He approached the glass with a sense of awe, his fascination evident in his eyes. The creature's breathing was steady, its presence a reminder of the power and beauty of the prehistoric world. Isabella, equally captivated by the sight, turned to Dr. Wu with a question that had been on her mind since they entered. "Dr. Wu, what are these dinosaurs doing in the cages? Why weren't they part of the park?" Wu paused, his gaze sweeping over the rows of creatures that had never seen the light of day. "These dinosaurs were part of my early experiments," he explained, his voice tinged with a mix of pride and regret. "Some were intended for the park but were never given the chance. Others were deemed too dangerous or were replaced by what were considered better assets." Rebecca listened intently, her scientific curiosity piqued. "So they were left here, forgotten?" Wu nodded, his expression somber. "Masrani wanted what was best for the park and its visitors. He was focused on creating attractions that would captivate and inspire. But after the Indominus Rex escaped and destroyed the park, everything changed. Alex, standing nearby, absorbed Wu's words with a sense of understanding. "And now we're left with the consequences of those decisions," he said, his voice steady. "We have a responsibility to ensure these creatures are treated with respect and care." As the team explored the laboratory, they felt a renewed sense of purpose. The facility was a reminder of the delicate balance between ambition and responsibility, and they were determined to learn from the past to create a better future. As the team settled into the laboratory, Isabella and Jackson felt a pull of curiosity drawing them deeper into the facility. The rows of caged dinosaurs were a testament to the ambitions of Jurassic World, but they sensed that there were more secrets hidden within these walls. Together, they ventured further into the labyrinth of corridors, their footsteps echoing softly on the tiled floors. The air was filled with a sense of anticipation, each door they passed holding the potential for new discoveries. In a secluded corner of the lab, they stumbled upon a room cluttered with papers and computer terminals. The screens flickered with data, and blueprints were strewn across the desks, detailing the genetic makeup of various hybrids. Isabella's eyes widened as she recognized the names: Indominus Rex, Scorpios Rex, and Indoraptor. "Jackson, look at this," Isabella whispered, her voice filled with awe. "These are the blueprints for the hybrids. This must be where Dr. Wu designed them." Jackson leaned over the desk, his fascination evident. "It's incredible to see the science behind these creatures, but it also makes you wonder about the consequences of playing with nature like this." As they examined the blueprints, the computer screen suddenly flickered, the data on them shifting erratically. A series of cryptic codes flashed across the monitors, and before they could react, the screens went dark. "What's happening?" Isabella asked, her voice tinged with alarm. Jackson's fingers flew over the keyboard, trying to regain control, but it was too late. The system had been compromised, and a message appeared briefly before disappearing: "Data transfer complete." "Someone's hacked into the system," Jackson realized, his voice urgent. "They've stolen all the blueprints for the hybrids." Panic surged through them as they grasped the implications. The knowledge and power contained within those files were now in the hands of an unknown entity, and the potential for misuse was terrifying. "We need to tell the others," Isabella said, determination in her voice. "This changes everything." As they hurried back to the main lab, the weight of their discovery pressed heavily on their minds. The stakes had been raised, and they knew they had to act quickly to prevent further catastrophe. Isabella and Jackson hurried back to the main area of the laboratory, their minds racing with the gravity of the situation. The stolen blueprints represented a significant threat, and they knew they had to act quickly to prevent further disaster. "Everyone, listen up," Isabella called out, gathering the team's attention. "The computer system was hacked, and all the hybrid blueprints have been stolen." The team exchanged shocked glances, the implications of the breach sinking in. Alex's expression hardened with determination. "We need to track the hacker and find out where the data was sent. We can't let this information fall into the wrong hands." Rebecca nodded, her mind already working through potential strategies. "We should start by identifying any digital footprints left behind. There might be a way to trace the source of the hack." As they began to formulate a plan, the door to the laboratory swung open, and a figure stepped inside. The intruder held up a phone, the screen displaying the stolen blueprints, and pointed a gun at the group. A tense silence fell over the room as they registered the threat. Jackson's eyes widened in shock as he recognized the voice that accompanied the intruder's mocking tone. "Landon." The man smirked, lowering the phone slightly but keeping the gun trained on them. "Hello, little brother. Surprised to see me?" "Landon, what are you doing here?" Jackson demanded, his voice a mix of confusion and anger. "I've come to collect what's rightfully mine," Landon replied, his tone dripping with arrogance. "These blueprints are worth a fortune, and I intend to cash in." The team stood frozen, the weight of betrayal heavy in the air. Jackson's mind raced as he grappled with the realization that his own brother was behind the breach. The air in the laboratory was thick with tension as Jackson faced his brother, Landon, the weight of betrayal pressing heavily on his heart. Desperate to defuse the situation, Jackson took a step forward, his voice calm but pleading. "Landon, please, you don't have to do this. We can find another way, together." Landon's eyes narrowed, his grip on the gun unwavering. "Don't be naive, Jackson. There's too much at stake here, and I'm not walking away empty-handed." Jackson's mind raced, searching for a way to protect his team and salvage the situation. His gaze flickered to the Velociraptor cage, where he noticed a button on the side. A risky plan formed in his mind, and with a surge of determination, he pressed the button. The cage door swung open, and the Velociraptor stirred, its eyes snapping open as it awoke. It stepped out cautiously, a low growl rumbling in its throat as it regarded Jackson with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. But its attention quickly shifted to Landon, the gun in his hand drawing the raptor's predatory instincts. In a flash, the velociraptor lunged at Landon, its powerful jaws clamping down with lethal precision. The room erupted into chaos as the raptor mauled him, the horrific sounds of the attack echoing through the lab. In his final moments, Landon managed to press a button on his phone, sending the hybrid blueprints to his boss on the mainland of Los Angeles. The implications of his actions weighed heavily on the team as they realized the threat had not been contained. As the velociraptor finished its grisly task, it turned its attention back to the team, its eyes gleaming with a primal intelligence. The team stood frozen, the reality of the situation sinking in as they faced the consequences of Landon's betrayal. The aftermath of Landon's betrayal left a heavy silence hanging over the laboratory. Jackson stood amidst the chaos, grappling with the emotional fallout of his brother's actions. The weight of loss and betrayal pressed heavily on his heart, but he knew he had to focus on the immediate threat, the velociraptor that now stood in the room with them. Taking a deep breath, Jackson held out his hand, attempting to establish a connection with the raptor. The creature's eyes locked onto his, and Jackson maintained steady eye contact, projecting calm and confidence. He knew that any sign of fear or hesitation could provoke the raptor, and he needed to gain its trust. Dr. Henry Wu, observing the interaction, quickly handed Jackson a dead rat, a token of appreciation to offer the raptor. Jackson accepted it, his hand steady as he held the rat out to the creature. The raptor's nostrils flared as it caught the scent, and it cautiously approached, its movements fluid and graceful. The team watched in awe as the raptor gently took the rat from Jackson's hand, its sharp teeth closing around the offering with surprising delicacy. It devoured the snack quickly, its demeanor shifting as it began to trust the human before it. Encouraged by the raptor's response, Jackson slowly reached out, his hand hovering near the creature's head. The raptor hesitated for a moment, then eased into his touch, its eyes half closing in contentment. A laugh of pure shock and relief escaped Jackson's lips, the tension of the moment giving way to an unexpected bond. With the raptor's trust secured, Jackson carefully led it back to its cage, the creature following him willingly. Once inside, Jackson closed the cage door, ensuring it was secure. The raptor settled back into its corner, its eyes closing as it returned to sleep. The team let out a collective breath, the danger averted for the moment. Jackson's actions had not only saved them but had also forged an unlikely connection with one of the island's most formidable predators. With the immediate threat of the velociraptor contained, Alex quickly turned his focus to the larger issue at hand, the stolen hybrid data. The team gathered around him, their expressions a mix of determination and urgency. They knew that recovering the data and preventing its misuse was paramount. "All right, everyone," Alex began, his voice steady and commanding. "We need to track down Landon's boss and retrieve the stolen blueprints. The consequences of this data falling into the wrong hands could be catastrophic." Rebecca nodded in agreement. "We should start by analyzing any digital traces left behind during the hack. There might be clues that can lead us to the source." Wu, ever the scientist, added, "I can access the lab's security system and see if there were any unauthorized access points. It might give us a lead on where the data was sent." As the team began to devise their plan, Jackson approached Wu with a request that had been weighing on his mind. He opened his satchel, revealing the velociraptor egg he had taken from the nest. "Dr. Wu, I need your help. Can you keep this egg warm so it can continue to grow and survive?" Wu examined the egg, his expression softening with understanding. "Of course, Jackson. We have an egg hatching station here in the lab. It will provide the warmth and conditions necessary for the egg to develop." Together, they carefully placed the egg inside the hatching station, ensuring it was secure and monitored. The gesture was a small but significant step in preserving the life of the creature within, a reminder of the delicate balance they were striving to maintain on the island. With their plans set in motion, the team felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were determined to confront the challenges ahead, armed with the knowledge and skills they had gained during their expedition. Dr. Henry Wu, driven by the urgency of the situation, dove into the lab's security system, his fingers flying over the keyboard as he searched for any signs of unauthorized access. The data breach had left them vulnerable, and he was determined to uncover how it had happened and where the information had gone. As he worked, Wu discovered a hidden access point buried deep within the system's architecture. It led to a series of underground tunnels, remnants of the island's original infrastructure. The tunnels stretched beneath a jungle, providing a hidden route to the boat dock. "This could be our way out," Wu announced, turning to the team. "These tunnels led directly to the dock. You can reach it without risking an encounter with the Velosaur." Alex and Rebecca exchanged glances, their resolve solidifying. "We'll go," Alex said, grabbing a walkie-talkie for communication. "We need to secure a way off this island and make sure the data doesn't fall into the wrong hands." Wu nodded, guiding them to the entrance of the tunnels. Be careful. The tunnels are old and may not be stable. Keep in contact, and we'll monitor your progress from here. As Alex and Rebecca prepared to descend into the tunnels, Jackson, Isabella, and Wu remained in the laboratory, ready to handle any developments and maintain communication with the mainland. Their hope was that a boat would arrive soon, providing them with a means of escape and a way to secure the stolen data. The atmosphere was charged with tension as Alex and Rebecca disappeared into the shadows of the tunnels, their footsteps echoing softly. The team knew that time was of the essence, and they were united in their mission to safeguard the island's secrets. Inside the laboratory, the atmosphere was tense as Jackson, Isabella, and Wu focused on contacting the mainland. They worked together, using the lab's communication system to send out a distress signal and request a rescue boat. The urgency of their situation was palpable, and they knew that time was of the essence. After several tense minutes, a response crackled through the speakers. A rescue boat was en route, and relief washed over them at the thought of potential salvation. But their relief was short-lived as the laboratory's alarm system suddenly blared to life, its shrill sound echoing through the halls. Wu rushed to the control panel, his eyes scanning the security cameras. The screens flickered to life, revealing the Velosaur prowling outside the building, its predatory instincts guiding it closer to their location. Isabella, we have a problem, Wu said, his voice calm but urgent. The Velosaur is outside. We need to stay quiet and alert Alex and Rebecca. Isabella grabbed the walkie-talkie, her hands steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. Dad, Rebecca, come in, she called, her voice clear. The Velosaur is outside the lab. Be careful and stay hidden. The response crackled back almost immediately, Alex's voice filled with determination. Understood, Isabella. We'll stay low and keep moving. Just hang tight until the boat arrives. As the Velosaur continued to roam outside, the team inside the lab remained vigilant, their senses heightened as they monitored the creature's movements. The stakes had never been higher, and they knew that every decision could mean the difference between life and death. Inside the laboratory, the tension was palpable as Wu continued to monitor the Velosaur's movements on the security cameras. The predatory creature prowled outside, its presence a constant reminder of the danger that surrounded them. Wu's eyes flickered from screen to screen, searching for any patterns in the Velosaur's behavior that might offer them a chance to evade it. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the corridors of the lab, sending a shiver down Wu's spine. The sound was unmistakably from within the building, and Wu knew he had to investigate. He turned to Jackson and Isabella, his expression serious but calm. Keep an eye on the security cameras and maintain contact with Alex and Rebecca, Wu instructed, his voice steady. I'll check out the source of that growl. Stay alert and be ready to act if anything changes. With that, Wu moved cautiously through the dimly lit corridors, his senses heightened as he followed the sound. The growl had seemed distant, but in the enclosed space of the lab, it was difficult to pinpoint its exact location. As he navigated the labyrinth of hallways, Wu's mind raced with possibilities. The lab housed many secrets, and the growl could have come from any number of creatures. He knew he had to be careful, but he also understood the importance of identifying the threat. Back in the control room, Jackson and Isabella watched the security feeds intently, their hearts pounding as they tracked the Velosaur's movements outside. The walkie-talkie crackled with intermittent updates from Alex and Rebecca, who were making their way through the tunnels. The stakes were high, and every second counted as they worked together to ensure their survival and the success of their mission. As Wu followed the sound of the growl, he found himself in a dimly lit storage area filled with remnants of past experiments. The growl grew louder, a low, menacing sound that sent a chill down his spine. He cautiously approached the source, and to his shock, he discovered a cluster of velociraptors huddled together, their eyes glinting with a predatory hunger. Realizing the danger of the situation, Wu quickly assessed his options. He knew he had to act fast to protect Jackson and Isabella from the potential threat of the raptors breaking free. He activated his walkie-talkie, his voice steady despite the urgency of the moment. Jackson, listen to me. You need to close off the doors leading to this area with a metal gate. We can't take any chances with these raptors. I'll handle this. Dr. Wu, are you sure? Jackson replied, concern evident in his voice. We can't just leave you, just do it. Wu insisted, cutting him off. Stay safe. You don't have to worry about me. With a heavy heart, Jackson complied, rushing to the control panel to activate the metal gate. He could hear the raptors stirring, their growls escalating as they sensed the presence of a potential threat. Just as he secured the gate, a chilling sound echoed through the walkie-talkie. Wu's voice was cut off by the sounds of the raptors attacking. Jackson's heart sank as he heard the horrifying sounds of flesh tearing and Wu's muffled cries. No, Dr. Wu, he shouted, panic flooding his veins. Isabella grabbed Jackson's arm, her face pale with fear. We have to get out of here. We can't stay. Jackson's mind raced, torn between the urgency of the situation and the bond he felt with Wu. They had to escape and warn the others, but the horror of what was happening behind the gate weighed heavily on him. Jackson felt a surge of determination as he resolved to find a way to help Wu, despite the overwhelming fear gnawing at him. I can't just leave him, he exclaimed, his heart racing with adrenaline. He turned toward the metal gate, ready to confront the raptors that had taken Wu. Jackson, wait, Isabella pleaded, grabbing his arm to stop him. It's too late. We can't risk our lives for something that's already happened. We need to focus on getting out of here. Just then, the raptors began to claw at the metal gate, their growls growing louder and more frantic as they sensed the scent of potential prey nearby. The sound of their claws scraping against the metal sent chills down Jackson's spine. Before he could respond, a deep, resonating roar echoed from outside the laboratory, the unmistakable sound of the Velosaur. The ground seemed to vibrate with the creature's presence, and Jackson's resolve wavered. Isabella, we need to go now, he urged, the urgency of the situation sinking in. He quickly made a decision, sprinting to the hatching station to retrieve the Velociraptor egg. He carefully placed it back in his satchel, knowing that its survival was now intertwined with their own. Isabella nodded, her expression a mix of fear and determination. Let's inform my dad and Rebecca. We're going to enter the tunnels and follow them. They might have a plan. Jackson and Isabella quickly activated their walkie-talkies, reaching out to Alex and Rebecca. Dad, Rebecca, we're entering the tunnels to escape and follow you. We'll catch up. Alex's voice crackled through the device, filled with urgency. Understood, but be careful. We'll meet you at the entrance of the tunnel. With their plans set, Jackson and Isabella made their way to the entrance of the tunnels, adrenaline coursing through their veins. They knew the dangers that awaited them, but they were determined to stick together and face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they entered the darkened tunnels, they felt a sense of solidarity, ready to confront the unknown. As Jackson and Isabella navigated the darkened tunnels, they finally caught up with Alex and Rebecca, who were waiting anxiously at the entrance. The moment their eyes met, a wave of relief washed over them, but it was quickly replaced by concern. Where's Dr. Wu? Alex asked, his voice filled with urgency. Is he with you? Isabella took a deep breath, the weight of the truth pressing down on her. He sacrificed himself to save us, she said, her voice trembling slightly. There were raptors in the lab. If he didn't distract them by letting them eat him, we would have died. The words hung heavy in the air, and the silence that followed was deafening. Alex's expression shifted from concern to a mix of grief and anger. We can't let his sacrifice be in vain. We need to find a way to stop this from happening again. Rebecca placed a comforting hand on Isabella's shoulder, her eyes filled with empathy. We'll honor his memory by making sure we get off this island and protect the creatures left behind. Jackson felt a surge of determination as he processed the loss of Wu. We need to regroup and come up with a plan. We can't let the Velosaur or the raptors take any more lives. The group shared a moment of silence, reflecting on the sacrifices made and the challenges that lay ahead. They knew they had to stay strong for Wu and for each other. After what felt like an eternity of navigating the dark tunnels, Alex, Rebecca, Jackson, and Isabella finally emerged at the boat dock on the south end of the island. The salty breeze filled their lungs, a welcome change from the stale air of the tunnels. But their relief was short-lived as they suddenly heard the unmistakable roar of the Velosaur approaching rapidly, its presence a looming threat. Get ready, Alex shouted, his heart racing as he scanned the area for cover. But before they could react, the ground trembled beneath them, and a massive shape burst onto the scene, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, an apex predator of its own right. It charged toward the Velosaur with ferocity, and in a swift, brutal motion, it snapped the Velosaur's neck violently, ending the hybrid's reign of terror. The team stood in stunned silence, watching the brutal display of nature's raw power. The T-Rex, a living embodiment of the island's ancient past, stood victorious over the fallen Velosaur, asserting its dominance in the ecosystem. As the dust settled, the group felt a mix of awe and relief. They had narrowly escaped one threat, but the island was still full of surprises. Just then, they heard a small creature approaching them from the jungle. To their astonishment, it was the juvenile Ankylosaurus they had been studying, its armored body moving with purpose as it ran toward them. Look, Isabella exclaimed, her heart swelling with joy. The Ankylosaurus came to a stop in front of Alex, nuzzling against him affectionately, as if recognizing him as a protector. Rebecca quickly grabbed the cage that had been prepared for the Ankylosaurus. We can keep it safe until we reach the mainland, she said, her voice filled with determination. Just as they secured the Ankylosaurus in the cage, the sound of an engine echoed across the water. The boat they had called for finally arrived at the dock, the morning sun rising behind it, casting a golden glow over the scene. Let's get on that boat, Alex urged, leading the way as they approached the vessel. The journey was far from over, but they had survived the island's trials, and now they had a chance to escape. As the team boarded the boat, a sense of relief washed over them. The engine roared to life, and they felt the vessel begin to pull away from the dock, leaving Isla Nublar behind. The weight of their experiences hung in the air, each member reflecting on the trials they had faced and the lessons learned during their time on the island. Jackson clutched his satchel tightly, his thoughts racing with the memories of the Velosaur, the raptors, and the sacrifices made. Suddenly, he felt a strange shaking coming from within the satchel. Curiosity piqued, he opened it cautiously and pulled out the Velociraptor egg. To his astonishment, the egg began to crack, small fissures appearing on its surface. "Guys, look!" Jackson exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement and disbelief. The team gathered around as they watched the egg hatch right before their eyes. With a final push, a baby Velociraptor emerged, yawning widely as it blinked up at Jackson with wide, loving eyes. The little raptor, no bigger than a kitten, looked around in wonder before nuzzling against Jackson's hand. Laughter erupted from the team, the tension of the past days momentarily forgotten. The baby Velociraptor was a symbol of hope and new beginnings amidst the chaos they had endured. Alex glanced back at the island, now a distant silhouette on the horizon. "We made it," he said softly, a mix of relief and nostalgia in his voice. The memories of their adventure would forever be etched in their minds. Isabella, feeling the exhaustion of the journey wash over her, rested her head on Alex's shoulder. "I can't believe we're finally leaving all that behind," she murmured, her eyelids growing heavy as she drifted off to sleep. As the boat sailed further into the ocean, the team felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had survived the island's trials, forged unbreakable bonds, and now had the opportunity to share their discoveries with the world. Back on Isla Nublar, the scene was starkly different. The sun hung low in the sky, casting an orange hue over the dock where the T-Rex stood, a magnificent yet terrifying figure. Its powerful body was silhouetted against the shimmering ocean, and with a deep, resonant roar, it declared its dominance over the island, challenging the vastness of the sea. The sound echoed across the landscape, a primal call that resonated through the jungle and beyond. The T-Rex, having successfully defended its territory from the Velosaur, now stood guard, its keen senses alert to the shifting tides of its domain. It seemed to sense the departure of the boat and the loss of its rivals, asserting its place as the apex predator of Isla Nublar. As the T-Rex surveyed the horizon, its roar faded into a low growl, reflecting the creature's instinctual awareness of the ever-changing world around it. The island, with all its dangers and wonders, remained a place of raw power and beauty, and the T-Rex was its rightful ruler. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over Isla Nublar, the island stood as a testament to the wild beauty and untamed dangers that existed within its confines. The T-Rex continued to patrol the dock, its presence a powerful reminder of nature's raw force. With the boat now miles away, the island would reclaim its secrets, and the cycle of life would continue. The team had faced unimaginable challenges, forged unbreakable bonds, and emerged with new knowledge and understanding of the prehistoric world. Their journey had come to an end, but the echoes of their experiences would resonate long after they had left the island behind. As the camera pulled away, revealing the vast expanse of the island, it became clear that while the story of the team had concluded, the legacy of Isla Nublar and its inhabitants would endure.